you. I hope this mic is yeah, it's working. All right. So hello guys. My name is Artem, and today I'm going to present you decentralized cloud infrastructure, the opportunities and the challenges. So agenda for today is I'm going to talk about decentralization, like what is decentralization, how we can achieve it, available solutions of decentralized clouds on the market. I'll show the sample app deployment on the decentralized cloud, talk about the challenges of the decentralized cloud, and let's jump to the Q&A session. So, a few words about me. I'm a full stack developer at A4B. I've been developing cloud applications for more than 3 years. And I have a passion for Python, cloud, DevOps, Web3, and AI, so all these hype technologies, yeah. All the presentations in the decentralized and like decentralized clouds, blockchain, web, should start with the history of web. So, as always, we talk about Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. So like Web 1 is the first step of our web. Like when it first appeared, it was read-only, and a lot of decentralized protocols appeared in this time, like email or BitTorrent. Web 2 is happening now. The corporations control the web, the social web. We call it social web because we use mostly social networks like Facebook or LinkedIn or others. And the Web 3 is what we are trying to achieve. It appeared in 2015 when Ethereum was presented. And we are trying to make this web go from this concept of control by corporations to decentralization. So basically, it was decentralized before when it appeared. It got back to the centralized in Web 2, and now we are trying to return to the decentralized web again. And on this presentation, I should point that decentralization is not a blockchain. Many say that blockchain is not a revolution, but the idea of adopting decentralization is. So yeah, like few examples of non-blockchain decentralized solutions that exist. Peer-to-peer networks like BitTorrent, file systems like IPFS, social networks like Mastodon built on ActivityPub protocol, processing layers, the one that I've noticed lately, Nilion, pretty interesting project. So yeah, I want to talk more about decentralization. Because many guys understand it not correctly, and like what is decentralization? It is defined by 3 axes. Actually, Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, tried defining them in his Medium article. So basically, 3 of them are architectural decentralization, political, and logical one. Architectural is how many physical computers is system made up of. Political is how many individuals controlling the whole system, and logical, if you cut the system in half, will both halves continue to fully operate as independent units. I tried showing the decentralization. I hope it is visible. Tried showing this axis on this graph. So basically, we have logical, which is blue, physical, green, and red is architectural, and different systems are here. Not only those software, but like also local restaurant is completely centralized. But for example, worker co-op is politically decentralized because it's co-op. So as you can see here, the BitTorrent is one of the systems that is decentralized in both architectural, political, and physical and logical way. The blockchain is not decentralized in 3 ways because it's logically centralized because we have a shared state. So worth mentioning that. Yeah, and like traditional cloud we have here is, of course, it's politically centralized because people behind Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are controlling everything. Architecturally, it's decentralized because we have a lot of servers around the globe. Logically, I must say that it's also centralized because like cloud define what we can use and what we could not. Yeah, and if someone could send me the code which generates such graph, not in such ugly way Pyplot do, please do it. So yeah, few interesting facts about decentralization in Ethereum, which is the first thing that make the decentralization idea popular is that Ethereum nodes, currently 57% of whole Ethereum nodes are running on the AWS. So maybe it's not that decentralized solutions because if AWS disappears, the Ethereum won't work. And also news from this year, there is such cloud called Hetzner, I guess, in Germany, and they banned the usage of their cloud for the Ethereum nodes. So that shows pretty much the power of centralized clouds, that they could ban anything in any moment, and we could not predict that. Yeah, I will talk about traditional cloud. What are the advantages of this? Why we use it? Basically, five points here are scalability, cost efficiency. Not in every time.
Rek nacisłem, jakby co. Także może
często się po prostu jak mamy.
It's like a platform which allows us to build our applications from any device because it's available online, and we can easily scale our solutions, build new services around. It's scalable because we can horizontally and vertically scale whenever we want to. But we also hate cloud because it's dependent on a single provider. Security breaches happen, outages happen all the time, and yeah, pricing is another disadvantage because it's high. Mean break, yeah. The US East 1 region in AWS is not really a good example of accessible region. Okay, so maybe we will jump to the decentralized cloud. So first of all, decentralized cloud is about political decentralization. So there is no single entity controlling the resources. The infrastructure is distributed across nodes, and there is no single guy telling you, okay, you should not do that, you should do that. So yeah, no single entity controlling your data, of course, because data is typically fragmented and encrypted and distributed. and no single entity controlling pricing. That's the most valuable one, I guess. So the examples of decentralized clouds includes like how we can, let's talk how we can achieve decentralized cloud. So there are many solutions available, and all of them are different, and not all of them are blockchained. But if you want to write a decentralized application, what we can do? We can write a decentralized app with smart contracts on, for example, Ethereum. We can write containerized applications and deploy them on chain using, for example, Golem Network or Akash. Golem Network is a Polish project which appeared in 2016, I guess. I will talk later why it's not that successful, even though it raised $20 million in ICO. ICO, it's like IPO, but for blockchains and stuff. Decentralized cloud services which emulate the cloud we have now, like Taubyte. It's pretty new, and own structure Fluence is not that popular, but someone uses it. So Golem Network, I wanted to talk about it because it appeared a long time ago, and yeah, it's a Polish project, so why not talking about it? So Golem Network is a decentralized supercomputer. It's not a blockchain. It is made of combined computing power of the user's machines. From like you have the requester on the left side, the provider on the right side, and they all communicate via Golem Network. And yeah, that's how decentralized Golem Network works. But it has a very big disadvantage, in my opinion, because it's not really user-friendly. It was created to mainly handle the computational tasks, so it works like requester sends the tasks, provider sends back the output. So probably for complex computations, it's a good thing, but for deploying simple, I don't know, web applications, it will not work, because it will work, but with complications, because we have to handle the requester node, the proxy node on like our computer somewhere, I don't know, in the centralized clouds or in other decentralized clouds. So it's not that good for typical applications we build nowadays, web applications. Probably for computational tasks, yes, but still it is overcomplicated in my opinion, and I guess it didn't succeed because of that. I heard that the amount of money the Golem Network earn from the providers and requesters now it's $7 per week. So yeah, it's that project actually, sadly. Akash Network, it's built on blockchain technology, the Cosmos network. It's not the Ethereum one, other blockchain, but it provides a peer-to-peer marketplace where providers and deployers can interact directly. The providers are actually Kubernetes clusters, so your applications are run on the Kubernetes clusters, and the blockchain itself acts as a coordination and settlement mechanism. Of course, all the computation happens off-chain, and your applications are off-chain because it will be you will pay a lot of money to calculate everything on chain. So actually, yeah, requester just deploy no additional software, just crypto wallet and tokens and manifest that I will talk about later. So Taubyte is great platform which started building like 2 months ago, but I really see potential in this platform. It's also a peer-to-peer network. It's not a blockchain, but the concept they have there is they provide abstractions for the protocols and applications, and they have like for every popular application in traditional cloud, they have their own alternative, like is shown in the table here. So yeah, so CDN, front-end messaging, backend, edge computing, database, it's all available in the Taubyte, but disadvantage here is that it's in the early stage. Not all of these things are documented, and yeah, it's in my opinion that's the biggest disadvantage, because like it's still building. It's not usable for now. You could build some simple applications, test this network, but not production ready applications. So from these 3 networks, I showed the one that seemed like stable to me was Akash Network, and I will try showing you how I built an application on Decentralized Cloud. Yeah, that was my goal when I started this thinking about this presentation. I should build a website on Decentralized Cloud, so it will be not in hands of any traditional cloud providers like AWS, but yeah, completely decentralized. So the flow of creating an application in Akash is pretty simple. We are creating an SDL file. We are requesting a bit. We are then choosing a provider from a list of providers that are willing to provide its computational power to us, and we deploy. So SDL file is the concept that Akash Network created to deploy applications. It's basically very much similar to Docker Compose, and yeah, it looks like this. So first we have to define services. We should use a public Docker image. There we can expose ports both to the other services or globally. If we want, for example, host our Nginx server or something like that. And we can use env to define environment variables. So when we define our services, we have to define the compute profiles. So we specify how many resources do we need, specifying CPU, memory, and storage. I guess, yeah, the storage is the storage which disappears when you choose to change the provider, but there is a persistent storage option available there, so you can also use that. And then we define placement, how much we are willing to pay for each block at something connected with blockchain network. Yeah, and the prices in tokens. Here I specified the maximum value of 1,000, but it's like a lot of money. It's, I guess, it's $200,000. But actually, when we deploy the application, it just set the maximum value and then returned us to the all the providers that are willing to host our application. So starting from minimal price. So basically it's not that useful. And then lastly, we define a deployment, how many instances of each service we want to deploy. We can deploy more than one, of course. And yeah, that's how the SDL file looks. There are different ways to deploy our application. There is a CLI available, also the official Akash console, and not official CloudMos deploy, which is the way I think it's the best way to deploy right now the applications. It's very much user friendly. And yeah, in this CloudMos deploy, we can build our template, actually build this SDL file by providing all the needed values like Docker image or CPUs or memory, or exposing ports, environment variables, additionally commands which we run when we start the container. Yeah, and here's the option of persistent storage. It's also available there. When we have our template ready, we can choose a provider. As you can see here, some of them are has less than 100 uptime, and it's monitored all the time. There is a location of every provider here, and of course some auditing options should be available. And Akash Network, in Akash Network you have also the separate actor of auditor, which audits the providers. So it's, yeah, some of them are audited but some not. So when we have chosen our provider, we can check our deployment, how much it costs, and also such window is available there with all the needed links, logs, shell events, so we can monitor the Kubernetes cluster which runs the application and access it. Yeah. Price comparison, they have a window where they compare the computational power of Akash versus 3 main providers like AWS, GCP, and Azure. And as you can see here, it's less. It's very, very, yeah. The price differs a lot. So that's the most valuable advantage for me, I guess. There is also a map of active providers. So as you can see here, they are mostly in Europe and North America, but some are available in Mid East, as well as in India. And on the bottom you see the power they have left. The orange is which is already in use, the gray is not. So they have a lot of terabytes of memory, a lot of vCPUs, a lot of storage. Yeah, you just can deploy your application. It won't be a problem for the active providers. So I wanted to build a sample application. I wanted to create a simple React application. I tried writing it in React Py, but or in Django, but sorry, Python lovers, but I don't like writing frontends in Python. But I wrote the API in Fast API, so it was enjoyable. And this is the application of Gallery app. The images from this gallery are deployed in the IPFS, so it's also a decentralized solution for having your images. And having these two Docker files, I actually can deploy my application on the Akash Network. Yeah, the first one is Python, the second one is Nginx. The platform flag here is silly way to note that I'm using a MacBook with M1 processor, which is not really good for deploying Dockerized application, but it works with this flag. Yeah, the application is ready. It's in production. You can scan this QR code to use it. I hope it will work. I don't have internet here in this room, but maybe later. Yeah, let's make a selfie. So I will later deploy it on this platform, and I will show you guys how it works. So, cheese. All right. One goal for a conference is done. Sorry, you guys, you are not in Selfie. Sorry. I will talk about the challenges of the decentralized cloud, because, of course, it's not an ideal solution. So, data privacy. Your data is usually encrypted, but the questions appear like who holds the encryption keys, how are they stored and protected, and all the other stuff connected to data privacy. So probably some of this need to be clarified. I've searched through security pages on this on Akash Network, but I didn't find any explanations of data privacy. So for me, it's crucial when building production applications for some clients that are controlled, regulated, and they should have their data encrypted. And yeah, that's one challenge of decentralized clouds. Through decentralization, I guess I should have do some animation here, but yeah, here is the meme with SpiderMan. Apart from typical decentralization problems of blockchains and like limited number of validators and all this stuff, wealth concentration, it's mostly about proof of stake blockchains. Think about hosting a validator of the network, like Akash Network, on the Akash Network itself. So like this type of recursion could happen, and I'm curious what will happen if most of them will be hosted there, and also if it's like it's possible to host another provider on the provider. So this is the recursion I'm afraid of, because like using the cheap providers, we can deploy our provider and set the price a little bit higher. I'm curious how they would handle this. Yeah, and decentralization in Akash, the problems they have here, their CEO is talking about the provider suddenly decides to leave, like no one is informed, and what's next? Like the application disappears from the network, it's not accessible anymore, and I mean it's not true decentralization right now. So we need this auditing feature for sure. And then another question appear: how to achieve decentralized auditing? Who will be auditing these providers? How this social group will look like? Will it be decentralized? It's more like philosophical question. A bit of economics, pricing. I hope I draw this chart correctly, but it's basic supply and demand. So basically, we can have situation if demand of the resources exceeds supply, prices can skyrocket, and if supply exceeds demand, the provider might not earn their money to host. But I hope the market will handle this and there will be no such situations. Yeah, if the network is popular, I guess such situations won't happen. But with example of Golem Network, which is a zombie project, it could happen. It's the depopularization could happen. And yeah, of course, regulatory challenges like data localization laws, privacy laws, security laws. We are not living in anarchy society, so these are all regulatory challenges that we need to handle. And the laws are not every time controlling decentralized systems, so it could be challenging for them to control this. And the conclusion of the whole decentralized cloud world, is it the future or not? So in my opinion, the decentralization shifts the control from central authority, and that's a good way, because it's creating a more efficient, more affordable, as you may have seen on this pricing comparison, way to host our applications. Akash Network is one of the leading examples of decentralized clouds, but many other solutions like Taubyte and Nilion, there is a typo here, but Nilion, I highly recommend checking this project out. It's not publicly accessible yet, but they have really good concepts of how they achieve decentralization. Of course, challenges like data privacy, achieving the true decentralization, and regulatory compliance need to be addressed. But I guess the future of decentralized cloud is looking promising. Probably still too early to deploy the applications for the clients in the companies we're working, but to host such silly applications, it could be achieved, yeah. So that's it from my side. Q&A.
Thank you very much. The most upvoted question would be, is the provider able to read environment variables? What about database replication globally? Is that possible?
I hope the provider is not able to read environment variables. I think you could. I mean, I have not seen much about the security of Akash Network in their documentation. I guess, but you know, it's open source, so you can always check the source code. Data replication globally in the networks like Akash is not possible, sadly. Sadly, it's dependent on one single provider. Everything is deployed on one single provider. So that's not a decentralization I want to see, but in some way it's decentralized because every person can become a provider and host your application. But yeah, such problems like hosting the database replication globally is not possible yet there.
Thank you. So, next question. What about security? How to set up secrets and credentials? Are we sure that nobody can mess up our app?
Yeah, I guess it's the previous question answered this question also. So, yeah, the secrets are only available through this environment variables. I hope that they are encrypted. I guess that they are encrypted and no one can see them. So basically, use an env for these secrets, right?
Okay, thank you. Next question. Is there any good and widely used production site built on Web3? Everything so far seems to be proof of concept and toy projects.
The Akash Network has the list of applications which are hosted on their network. It's a pretty long list, which includes websites, games, databases, AI projects. So I guess, yeah, a lot of applications are deployed there and are working and are operating. But because the topic of decentralized cloud is not, I mean, if you enter the website, you could not see if it's deployed on the decentralized cloud or not. It's just the usual website, so you could not tell. For sure, a lot of validator nodes of the blockchain run on Akash Network because it's very cheap. I don't know about web application. I have not used any application that said, "Oh, we are deployed on Akash Network," so that's wonderful. I guess when we popularize this topic, it will evolve and more applications will appear. For me, yeah, it could be the application could be deployed, and yeah.
Great, thank you. What do you dislike in decentralized cloud, if anything?
Yeah, so basically all the things I mentioned before, like the true decentralization, because right now, as I've showed, everything is dependent on one provider. In the perfect world of decentralization, I could imagine that I'm not choosing a provider in this network. I just specify how much resources do I need, and like my computations are distributed between different providers in different regions. I'm sure it is achievable, and such platforms like Neon, which I've mentioned before, is trying to do it. I guess in Golem Network you also don't specify the provider, you just specify that I need to compute something, but yeah, as I've showed, the deployment of applications like web applications are not currently possible.
Thank you. And last question, what kinds of systems or apps are good to decentralize and what kinds are not?
I could say that if I could do that, I will decentralize all types of applications. I mean, we are, as I've mentioned, we are not seeing as an end user, we are not seeing if the application is decentralized or not. I guess decentralized clouds and decentralized applications are, the concepts of decentralization is very close to edge computing. So having these nodes distributed around the globe, we can achieve edge computing. So probably web applications are the best way, because the best example of using this edge computing, because if you have users from all around the globe, we can deploy these applications closely to them, so they will not wait and have this latency. So yeah, I mean, there is no constraints in my opinion. They have also the Akash Network, I guess, in this month announced the GPUs on their network. So it's another huge topic, but basically with the rise of the AI applications, we lack of this, for example, in AWS, in SageMaker, sometimes the instances which could handle computation in AI are not available. So I guess in decentralized clouds, they will be more available, and there will be no such problem that you cannot deploy your application.
Okay, thank you. Another question. Apparently the last one was not the last one, so yeah. How would you regulate prices? Is it not done by the provider?
Yeah, it's done by the provider, but also the market regulates them. So if you, yeah, the chart with supply and demand showed it. So basically, if you set the price too high, nobody will use your provider, and probably you will not earn any money. So market, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Next question, how would you achieve regulatory compliance? Is it not done by politics centralization?
I'm not sure how they will achieve the regulatory compliance. For now, I guess all these decentralized platforms are operating in such gray zones, so nobody controls them because they are actually not that popular as traditional clouds. But of course, yeah, it's a challenge.
Okay, thank you. And the very last question. Isn't using specifically Akash Network making it less decentralized? You are using a provider that can change things on a whim.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it is less decentralized in a way that you are using specific provider and it could disappear in a moment, and yeah, your application is not deployed yet. But I see the decentralization in a way that everybody could become a provider, everybody can host the application, and I hope the audited providers will not do these things. Somehow they are controlled. Somehow we see this availability percentage on the website. So I guess such situations happen, but rarely. So there is a place to improve for improvement, but yeah, as you mentioned, it's not decentralized in a very good way.
Great, thank you very much. This is it for the questions of this talk. Thank you for the talk, and
thank you.
Yeah.